Hi guys, and welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV. Wherever you're watching in the world, please do join us. Please do make sure you like, subscribe, and share and do all that lovely stuff. Even if you're watching on your TV, jump on your mobile devices. We are going to be away today at Anfield, down at Merseyside Reds, playing Liverpool. Kickoffs at 4:30 p.m. guys, and we are shown on Sky Sports main event, Peacock, and all other platforms. I have a fantastic panel with me, a lovely diverse panel, and I've got a girl, just a girl who loves Spurs. Kate, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Ash. A little bit nervous about today, not going to lie, feeling a little bit terrified, but apart from that, I'm good. Hope you're well, and good to see Deji as well.
Good to see you, Kate.
Yes, Deji, how are you doing, my bro?
Yeah, I'm good. I have to say, probably I'm less optimistic as I would have been about a week ago. I'm not going to lie, I feel like some of my optimism got smashed in the Arsenal game and the Chelsea game this week. But for me, I love my club. I will never stop loving my team. But do I have any hopes today against Liverpool? I don't, to be honest. I feel like the season's been done. The only thing that could maybe move me is if Brighton can beat Villa. Then that leaves a little bit of hope for us, do you know what I mean, in terms of the Champions League push. But if things stay the same, then, it is what it is. But it's still a decent season at the end of the day. So big up Postecoglou.
I hear that, man. And just to stay with that, and I want to move on to you, Kate. Chelsea, of course, we lost at the Bridge. We haven't got the best record there. But just talking on that first half, moving on forward into this game, previewing this game, why was we so disjointed? Why was it that we didn't have a clue against Chelsea?
Do you know what? It feels kind of like Deji said, it feels like the players are on the beach already, that they've just kind of give up on the season. I mean, we went to the North London derby last week, felt the same. First half was awful. And then I kind of expected a bit of a reaction against Chelsea. Thought, they might have a rocket put up their backsides and we'd come out and see something different. But I don't know if it's just that they've kind of resigned themselves to, season's done, or whether it's just there's a hell of a lot of players that have all of a sudden hitting bad form. Do you know what I mean? Because everybody seems to be bad at the same time. Maddison looks a shadow of himself. Basuma looks a shadow of himself. Sonny is unrecognisable, in my opinion. So I'd love to be able to say this is the reason why, but I don't know why it is. It certainly can't be fatigue, only playing sort of one game a week, if you like, all season. But I don't know. I'm not of the Angel opinion or anything like that, but I am a little bit concerned as to the drop-off that we've had this year.
I think you're absolutely spot on. I think what it is, definitely we can't be Angel because he's done a great job. And at the beginning of the season, I would have taken eighth in the table finish, but with better football. So if I'm being honest to myself, he kind of overachieved. And sometimes what we do with football, and I'm a big culprit, as Kate knows, you can get too carried away with what you're seeing on the pitch, and sometimes reality sets in. Do you know what I mean? And that's fine. That's totally fine. But sometimes when you're, looking for that good weather and a little bit of sunshine, you want to put your shorts on, and that's how I feel like I've been with my club. The thing is, though, Postecoglou did say something which reminds me of what Conte was saying. Conte was saying there was a mentality issue at the club. He said some players were mentally just not at the level that was required. And I think that got missed because he was literally venting and blaming everyone but himself. And because of the dusty football, we let that skip, especially because he was in Italy. I think Postecoglou literally came out and said the same thing. For him to come out and say, look, we're going to need to have a major overhaul. That's not what he was saying at the beginning of last season. He took that team in a positive way. He made it work to the best of his ability. But now he's seen that in order to get us to the promised land, in order to get us up the table, we need a major overhaul. And that would mean that, these are his words, I'm paraphrasing, that some players who we think are fantastic players may need to go. Now, I think that was code for maybe Son needs to go. There's not, Son as an individual is a fantastic player. He's a legend at our club. But I have been feeling for years we do need fresh blood. If Son leaves, who is the ready-made replacement? We don't have one. We need ready-made replacements. I think there's other players in the team, especially around that midfield. We've had Lo Celso hanging about. Bentancur, I think he's a great midfielder, but is he ever going to get back to where he was? We're not sure. The wing play, Kulusevski, I'm not so sure if he's going to be able to give back to us what he did in the first 6 months when he first joined. So there's a lot of tough decisions to be made, a lot of answers, a lot of questions that have been asked. But I think the fact that he's seen that and he's come out and said what he said, I think that's putting us in a positive way. For me, I agree. The one thing I felt when we played Chelsea on Thursday, and I think maybe you and Ash probably articulated it better than me, was I actually thought he lost the dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
Literally thought, mate, these guys are not playing for Postecoglou. What the hell is going on? Because at least if you're going to lose in a London derby, at least lose with fight. We had no fight. We had no ideas. It was rubbish. Let's just be honest. And so that's the bit that really concerned me. I was like, what? Has he lost the dressing room already? And maybe what he was saying in the press conference was code for he has lost the dressing room and he needs to get rid of the punks that ain't listening so he can bring in fresh blood that can do a job.
For me, like, I'll just come on this one. And when I looked at the game, especially the first half, I thought the distances between the midfield and their midfield were too big, in my opinion. That's why we were always late in the challenge. I don't know if you noticed that Sarr gave away a lot of fouls, and so did Porro, was really late in challenges. I felt that the passing was a bit off as well. I felt in build-up, Emerson Royal, at times, he didn't have that, final ball to help us to get up the field, which we know he's not the best of footballers, but sometimes when you're operating in tight areas, if you're going to play in that midfield area, you need someone that's going to be good on the ball. And him high up that pitch, or him trying to help us to build up to beat Chelsea's press, I think we struggled. And I think a part of the reason why we struggled with that was down to Pochettino. I thought he got the tactics spot on. He knew that our weaknesses are down our sides. So if you look at Emerson Royal, he was doubled up at times. I saw Cole Palmer going out to his side. And then you had Noni Madueke, kept beating him every time he had him on ice. Then on the other side, Pedro Porro was getting doubled up at times when you saw Gallagher pull across, Jackson pull across, and then sometimes Cucurella, I call him Cucurella, sometimes he kept pulling over, bro, and he was causing havoc. And then that allowed, I call him Flash, Speedy Gonzalez, to kind of invert quite a bit and run with the ball. What's his name? Mudryk, that's the guy I'm talking about, not Flash. Mudryk, from Invincibles. That's what he looks like. So for me, that's the reason why we were getting overloaded. And then because we were getting pressed so hard and losing the ball in that pitch, Gallagher was like the engine. He was doing like the Sarr job, like, making us nervous, losing the ball. And then as a result of it, we couldn't get rhythm. We didn't have enough technical ability to beat that press. And then Postecoglou lost his rag because he's like, stop passing it backwards because we're losing that momentum. We're trying to keep hold of the ball, keep possession, and then play our way out of trouble. And he was like, no, forward. He's getting mad. But that's how I saw it. And then I thought from the movement from the front three, Song wasn't in the game at all, in my opinion. He tried to drop deep at times to help with the build-up. And then I looked at Johnson. Johnson was always free. But for me, in the final third, he lacked clinicalness or that final decision-making that you need in that elite, in those moments. We'll talk about moments. That's the buzzword. You need your big players to turn up. And you know what? It wasn't just down to him. It was from the movement of the other two, meaning Richarlison and Son, and also the midfielders, because I felt like there was a chance to do underlapping runs to kind of help make Johnson isolate Cucurella, who was inverting, making 1v1 and then have the better of him. And he did get 1v1 sometimes, and he was getting some joy, but then it was just the end product and the movement from the other guys that kind of stopped Tottenham from progressing and getting making proper chances, because I feel like that creativity just wasn't there. And I felt also, actually, I'll throw it back to you guys. Moving forward in that midfield area, can we have a conversation? Who starts? Does Maddison come back in? Did we drop Kulu out? People were saying Kulu can't play out wide. I felt he was quite progressive in the Arsenal game, and I thought he started wide on the right. But he looked all sorts. He didn't really look like he was in the game in the midfield, in my opinion. Does he hold that position in that center of pitch, and does he command that ball? Is he, carrying the ball, dribbling, beating his player? That's what you want from your 10. You want him to shoot from distance. You want him to throw through balls. or if not, you want them to help pull wide and switch to play. I didn't see Kulu doing any of that against Chelsea, in my opinion. But guys, what do you think? Would you put Maddison back in there? Maddison hasn't been playing too well. Or do you go for something different? Like people have been calling for Lo Celso. A lot of people are mad at that and say, no, he's been dross. He's been injured the whole time. But there was a stat flying around that he was created the most amount of opportunities for Spurs in the 10 minutes he played, which is embarrassing. Okay, how do you see it, man? Who do you put in that midfield? I want to know.
For me, Maddison needs to be dropped still. I just, his body language doesn't sit well with me. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether he's he was obviously peed off that he didn't start last game, which is good. That's what you want to see to an extent, because you want players to want to play all the time. But when he came on, I didn't really like his body language, and I felt he didn't really make an impact. So I would keep Madders off of the pitch. I'd keep Kulu in the middle. I'd give Lo Celso a run out, because I just think it can't do any worse. Our midfield looks so disjointed at the minute. Højbjerg gets nowhere near the midfield. Especially considering every time he started, we've lost. So I suppose I'd probably start with Basuma as well as Kulu and who was the other one I just said? Did I say another one?
Lo Celso.
Yeah.
Lo Celso, Kulu, and Basuma. Yeah. So you basically have two more attacking eights, more progressive eights. You're basically saying, look, we've got nothing to lose. Are you not concerned about this, where we finish this season, or do you think it's important that we finish the season strong? So is that why you're saying maybe let's go for it? Let's go a bit more gun ho, less protection? Because I look at what the other teams do. Well, to be fair, when we look at Liverpool's midfields, and we will touch upon it later, but they've got sometimes Bosley, they've got sometimes Endo, playing just behind, and then the other midfield is slightly more attacking. It might be a bit more of a Curtis Jones, or it might be it depends who they throw in that midfield. But do you think having Spurs just have one defensive midfielder and two attacking eights is the way forward?
To be honest, I haven't got much faith in any attacking defensive midfielder we've got. I've been crying all season for Zubimendi to come in, and I think that's a position we need to look at. And then everyone comes back with, well, Ange doesn't really play with a defensive midfielder, but something needs to be done. My view at the minute is, I think top four's done, so I don't really care where we finish. I just want to see. I mean, it seems obvious to me that Ange, even though he's had a very disjointed season with people obviously being suspended, we've had injuries, so it's hard to get a consistent 11. It looks to me like Ange still has no clue who his best 11 is. So I just want to see him try different things and see what works. It really is as easy as that.
Just to add on to that, before I come to you, Deji, do you think the tactics, because there's a few people that are upset with Ange at the moment, saying we play a bit too open, and if you look at some of our rivals, our biggest rival being Arsenal, they play with Rice and Partey. Now Rice for me is box to box. I think he's box to box more than the six, and then Partey kind of sits behind them and cleans up. But then at times they also invert another fullback to go alongside Partey, and that gives them protection when going forward. You see Liverpool do it with they had problems. Remember when they finished fifth, they had a horrible season last season, and teams were just running through them at will until they inverted Trent Alexander-Arnold into the defensive midfield alongside, making a double pivot and then going into a back three. We typically have two at the back, and then we just say, look, let's go for it. Do you know what I mean? And then even Kate alluded, a lot of people don't think Ange actually plays with an actual defensive mid. He plays with box-to-box midfielders. That's what he wants. Exactly.
That's what he said.
And so when you've got three in the midfield all going for it, and then you've got the two fullbacks going for it, then when we do lose the play, obviously we're quite solid in the middle, but then it leaves the back door open. What do you think, man, about that?
It does. But I think, what Postecoglou, I think, is trying to do. I keep looking at over the red side of London, because it's not North London because they're from South. But anyway, I keep looking over to what they did. The first and foremost, priority number one is embedding the style of play into the DNA of the players. That's what Postecoglou is going to do. He's going to embed his style of play, even though he doesn't have all the players to play that position. Postecoglou has said many a time he doesn't do 6s or 8s. He does whatever in that midfield. Yeah, and if you look at it, there are players out there. Declan Rice for me is a hybrid of a 6 and an 8. Pape Sarr is a hybrid. Basuma should be, in my opinion, a hybrid of a 6 and 8. The problem we've had is that all of these guys in our midfield have lost form at the same time. So it doesn't even matter. Whether you play Cooley, whether you play Madders, Bentancur's not on form anyway, Basuma's not on form, Oyebe's not on form. And in the Premier League, you need all... Look, the Postecoglou system is high risk, high reward, which means that everybody needs to be 100% in order for it to be effective. We saw that at the beginning of the season. But it takes one player in this high risk, high reward system to go down, and then the cards come down like House of Cards. So I think what he does is he will bring in the midfielders. I believe he's already identified. We've got that Lange fella from Aston Villa, who I think is a top scout. They will bring in the right players, the right mixes. But until then, he has to just work with what he's got. And I think that's what we're seeing at the moment. I don't mind Cooley in the number 10. I was calling it out because he played well. There were some games he played well when Madders was injured. And I was like, if Madders is not on form, bring in Cooley. Now he's done it. I can't complain. They're just all off form. But I think we just got to give him time. I'm with Kate. I don't really give a damn where we finish now. I was hoping for a Champions League spot. It ain't going to happen. So whether we finish 5th or 6th doesn't even bother me in the slightest. We just need to just show a little bit more fight. Today, I'm not expecting anything. I know we're going to get into it. I'm not expecting anything from our team today. But just show a little fight for us. Just show a little bit of passion. I think the disappointing thing, we know we normally get slapped up by Chelsea at the bridge. But at least show us passion. That's all I've ever asked for. Passion.
I hear that, Edge, but I think that basically the argument is, like, put this in a scenario, and we have to be like open-minded, and we have to, like, you know, throw out caveats and throw out scenarios that could happen. Supposing we had a freak ending to the season, right? A freak ending where we go against Liverpool, we don't win, right? Which is possible. Burnley, their last game, they need to win this game to stay up, basically. They're in a relegation battle. That result they had, that can't happen again. They need to win. So they're going to turn up with a different type of vim, a different type of energy. Spurs, we get a point, but we don't play too well. And then we go against Man City. Man City end up beating us as well, because obviously they're going for the title. Does the mood then change, especially if we start conceding similar goals, similar patterns start happening? Do people start to think, hang on a second, we are looking a bit too open here. Maybe he does need to tweak until, like you said, he gets the players that he wants. Yeah, because I do understand the argument of philosophy. They've got to get it, but it doesn't matter if those players aren't going to be here. If he said that he came out, I'm going to clear out 8 players, 10 players, but he's still playing them as well. He's still bringing them onto the pitch.
Well, he's going to need to, because who else are you going to bring in? Do you know what I mean? He has to. Look, I hear what you're saying. The main reason, I think, in your chat, the very, very first comment, I can't remember who said it, said something about the biggest mistake we made was to get rid of Poch, and I totally agree. What I will say is I feel like there's enough credit in the bank. Let's be honest, Spurs fans. I mean, there's a lot of Spurs fans that said they knew Postecoglou and his system and blah, blah. They knew he was good. I didn't know anything about Postecoglou. So for me, I am, in one aspect, I am pleasantly surprised that we find ourselves 5th and dominating matches. We just can't finish off our dinner. And he talked about the fact that the players, for whatever reason, can't seem, especially the front three, it's not working, it's not gelling. That for me means something needs to happen over the summer. Maybe we bring in an out-and-out striker. I would love to see Eze and Elise at Spurs for the left and right-hand side. I mean, this is just wishful thinking, but bear with me for a moment. Let's say he does all of that. Maybe it will click. Remember, Arteta, 8th in his first season, 8th in his second, 5th in his third before it landed. And I do feel there's something about the way he's got us playing. These players, I wasn't sure they could dominate a game of football. They are. That's one positive thing. We're on the front foot. Now it's about putting the right jigsaw pieces in place so that we can start to score goals, because we stopped creating chances. It's like we get to the edge of the box and then we pass back. Why aren't we shooting? We had 30 plus shots at the beginning of the season, first few games. Let's get back to that. And let's also get back to defending set pieces, because I'm not going to lie to you. There is nothing worse in football than to play your heart out and to be letting in cheap goals. And I think that's also having an impact on the squad. When you just see, when I saw that header from Chalobah going, I'm just like, bloody hell, here we go again. You know, Zuma, here we go again. We let bloody Nicholas Jackson, who can't find these socks, do you know what I mean? Loop a header. You know, he's more likely to miss than score. It bloody went in. Do you know what I mean? Like, stupid goals going in, it affects your morale. Do you know what I mean? And we need to cut out all of that crap and bring in the right players. And then I think we can cook. And I think we can cook on the Postecoglou. I think he might be able to go one step further. I think we win a trophy under this gaffer, but we got to give him the time to do it.
I hear it, but just to go into Kate quick, Deji did mention, you know, the lack of goals, the lack of creativity in the final third. And the talking point at the moment is the front three. It's Son. A lot of people are saying, you know, is he a striker? Does he play at the wing? Now, there are being links made to, I believe, Timo Werner. There's that whole debate's popped up again. Where do you sit on this debate? Do you put Son in the 9? Do you put him out wide? And would you put Werner back in the squads really quickly? Because I think the team sheet's going to come out any minute soon. But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I don't think Werner is going to get bought before. I know everyone's been having a meltdown. I don't think he's done enough to warrant us buying him. I know there was talks of him being loaned for another season. As far as the questioning Ange's tactics, I'm watching the chat and it looks like a hell of a lot of people have already given up on Ange Postecoglou, which I don't think is fair. I don't think it's right. We're just going to end up going around in another circle, getting another manager and starting all over again. I think you've got to give him another season. Front three wise, I think if we get a big enough offer in for Son, we've got to let him go. I just think he looks a shadow of himself, and I think it's weighing on his mind. The whole Saudi links, I think it could be weighing heavily on him. For me, he has to play as a winger, because obviously we've got Richie in the middle. Neither are good enough. And then to finish it off with Johnson, who is great as a sub, but as a starting winger, not good enough. So, I mean, that front three for me doesn't scare anybody, not even Sonny anymore. You look at him and you go, yeah, no concern. When you think we've gone from Kane and Sonny to where we are now, and we just don't look like we can score. No one wants to take a shot outside the box. It's really disconcerting watching the team, but it's going to take time. I know everyone says, oh, it's been 24 years under Levy, blah, 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 but it is going to take time. You know, we've got aging players and we've got players that clearly don't fit Angie's system. So it's going to take him a few windows to bring in the people that he wants.
Deji, what do you think about the whole front three debacle and the Sonage situation?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I did think the front three ain't good enough. You know, let's just be honest. You know, we had once upon a time, you know, Son, you know, Dele Alli, Kane, who were tearing up the league, and Christian Eriksen in the midfield. What a team. And then we've got Son playing out of position for me. You know, you just got to look at the opposition. Son is not going to win any headers, and he's not a physical player. He's a player that likes the ball over the top. He runs onto it and finishes off his dinner. And then you want to put him up against Saliba and Gabriel. He's not going to go nowhere. He's not doing nothing. And then you want to put him up against big players where he's going to lose that physical battle. Son needs to be on the left. The issue we then had was who's on the left. Timo Werner, as soon as the ball goes left and the right back starts coming towards him, oh no, don't give me the ball. That's a hot potato. I need to get rid. Where do I pass it? So we had that issue. Brennan Johnson, you can see that he hasn't got the fitness. As soon as he makes one or two runs down the right-hand side, he starts blowing out. He can't do it, so he needs to come on as an impact player. And then Kulusevski doesn't want to beat his man. He always wants to check back. So we became predictable as well, predictable football. You know exactly what our front three are going to do. And there's no quality, there's just no support, no quality there. So I agree with Kate. I think it might be time, and this is not being reactionary. I've been feeling this for seasons. We should have been preparing a successor for Son. And Solomon, Perisic and Werner are not successors for Son. I mean, that's just stupid. We need to bring in young Eze-type players, Neto-type players into our squad who we know can drive and cause the opposition a lot of problem. And then we need a striker. Richarlison isn't the sort of guy. I think he can be a good squad player, but we need someone who can give us that hold-up play. We've always had fantastic players before. And then we'll see what happens. But, the front three hasn't been good, and we need to he needs to bring in the right players and let them cook. People are saying in the chat we bring in Tony. I don't mind Tony or the geezer from PSV's, Guimaraes, any of them. But I just don't want... the reason why we're taking our time with the strikers is we've had bad luck. Remember, Kane came through our academy. Prior to that, we couldn't find a decent striker. And after that, we couldn't. Llorente, Soldado, Janssen. Just to remind you, we've just been getting it wrong up top. So hopefully, let us find the right person. But I'm just seeing the team lineup now.
So, I want to go through that real quick, if you don't mind. So, with the team lineup, we've got Vicario in goal, as we know, in between the sticks. Pedro Porro on the right, Romero, Van der Ven, and no change at the back with Emerson Royale starting on that left-hand side. I was going to talk about Jagushin, but I'll get your thoughts in a bit. Bentancur starts in midfield alongside Bissouma and Sarr. Interesting midfield three there. And then Kulu out wide with Johnson on the left and Son down the middle, as you were saying. No, you wasn't saying you wanted them down the left, didn't you? In the substitutions, we've got on the subs bench, we've got Austin, Jagushin, Skip, Højbjerg, Lo Celso, Maddison, Brian. Oh, Moore. We got Mikey Moore on the actual bench. Interesting. And Richarlison. Now, guys, obviously, Jagushin misses out again, and I know already that Ange said, he's got two players.
Right, they've scored.
Right, banged it in, yeah?
I hope they've scored. I hope it's legit. But it's 1-0 Brighton. Sorry, just the harbour, just the tiny little bit. Not that it means anything to us.
Been disallowed anyway. It's offside.
It's offside. Oh,
there you go. Well, guys, quickly talk through to me that midfield three. What are your thoughts on that midfield? Go on, Kate. Let me hear you, Kate. Go on.
I look at that starting 11 and think we're absolutely screwed today. I'm not going to lie. Johnson and Kulu on the wings doesn't fill me with confidence. Basuma and Sarr, I thought Sarr was atrocious last week, like last match. Gave the ball away all the time. A lack of creativity again, unless Bentancur sort of can get back to his best. Yeah, I'm not overly impressed, but at the same time, I look at the bench and think we can only do what we can do with what we've got. But I would have liked to have seen the Celso start, and I don't like Kulu on the wing at all. So I'm sorry, this is a pump up, but I'm a little bit deflated after seeing that team. It's Royale, in again. It's just, it doesn't fill me with much hope. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would say to this lineup is I've always said that this season's test and learn. It's an opportunity to try out different things. And, a lot of people say Postecoglou doesn't want to adapt, blah, blah, blah. And I get that. And they are right. But at least he's trying out something different. I did think there was a shout for Bentancur to play number 10. I think he could be a good number 10 and he could potentially have a good game. He's got good feet. He's a very, very classy player. The only issue I have with the front three is probably the positioning. I would just since Kuli is just so heavily left-footed, could he just be on the left wing? Could he just be on the left-hand side and swing across him? Why does he need to cut back to whip it in? That's the only thing, because we know Brennan Johnson, he's going to be blowing anyway by half-time. He wants him to run down the right, whip a ball in. Why can't Kulusevski go down the left and whip the ball in as well? But if Kulusevski is on the right-hand side and Brennan Johnson's on the left, then it's just, It's dumb, and I agree with Kate. We could be in for sixes. And look, I don't expect us to win today, and I don't expect us to get a draw. But it could be a disaster class in the making. Royale up against Salah is a joke, and for me, it's like you play you shouldn't be so rigid to a system. You should look at your squad and then pick the best position, the best formation for your squad. For me, the best formation with the players we have at the moment, unfortunately, is 3 at the back. Draguzin should be playing in these games. Why are we playing Emerson Royale when you've got Draguzin? He must be going out of his mind. Play 3 at the back, maybe Van der Ven on the left, Draguzin on the right-hand side, and Romero, in the middle of those 3. And then, push forward. Having this system, when Salah's going to cook Emerson Royale for breakfast, lunch, and dinner is madness. Just like it was madness leaving Ben Davies on his own against Saka. I mean, come on. We don't even train with these players, and we can already foresee what's going to happen.
Hey, man, girl, it sounds like you lot are saying Ange out, because you just criticised his lineup. You actually just criticised tactically, you just criticised him, and then you criticised the lineup for having Emerson Royale in there, and you criticised Johnson for playing on the left and Kulu playing on the right. My take on it, I'll just say it quick. I reckon the reason why we play the wingers like wide forwards is because I think the idea is that they come inside and they shoot. The problem is Johnson doesn't really do that. He doesn't go on the inside and shoot, and neither does Kulu. He takes too long to make that decisive moment, whether he's going to throw the pass through, cut back, or shoot. Son, for me, Son plays best when he's playing in behind, if that makes sense. So not with his back to goal. When he plays in behind and he's making those kind of out to in runs or into out runs or making those curved runs, that's when Romero's got to pick his head up and find those balls over the top. Unfortunately, we like to play in the front foot, meaning that there's no space to run in behind. Do you know what I mean? And so the teams and the players that we have, they actually suit a mid to low block better. I'm not going to lie. The reason why it suits a mid to low block better is because there'll be more space in behind. So then you've got Johnson with space to run in. You've got Son with space to run in, or Kulu doesn't really need that space. He's more build up, kind of looks after it, physical, can beat his man and link play. Do you know what I mean? In terms of the midfield, I just think that's a workhorse midfield. I think he's looking at this team and he's like, I need workers, and all of those players, Bentancur, not so much Bentancur as much as he used to be, but again, tough tacklers, people that have got engines, run up and down, like, they're pressing. And I think he's trying to get that across to these players. And I think if you look at the team, other than maybe Emerson Royale, I think I don't see him selling Basuma, I'll be honest, unless a massive offer comes in for it. I know he hasn't been playing well, and I know there's a lot of criticism on Basuma at the moment, but I honestly think that unless a massive offer comes in for Basuma, I think he's going to keep him. Players like Højbjerg, possibly Lo Celso now, because Lo Celso, he's not getting a look in. So it's like free Lo Celso, man, then free Lo Celso. Let him go, bro. Let him do what he needs to do. If he can't start in games like this, then what's the point? But yeah, Richarlison as well. He's not starting. So again, he looks like he's on his way out as well. You'd think Rich would start in this type of game, and then playing Son out wide. I think the problem with Son out wide at the moment is he's no longer running at players. So when you're no longer running at players beating your men, then like, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? But guys, I wanted to just move on to Liverpool real quick, because we are playing Liverpool. What scares you about Liverpool? What is their biggest threat?
What doesn't scare you about Liverpool? What I will say though is, it's very hard the Chelsea game. I think what also makes it hard to kind of answer this question is the fact that we just didn't turn up. But one thing for certain is that Liverpool team is far superior to that Chelsea team. You've got Salah on the right, you've got Diaz on the left. I mean, it's disastrous. And then you've got Nunez or whoever. I don't know what the lineup is. Their midfield is very good. McAllister. Do you know what I mean? Harvey Elliott. What's the Liverpool lineups? Yeah, Gakpo, up top. Their back line is decent. Yeah, it's
Van
not.
Dijk
Well,
starts.
Van Dijk wasn't going to play, but
He
bloody
starts.
hell, they were lying to us. Van Dijk bloody starts, mate. So set piece, we are going to get killed in the set pieces. Anyone look? It's not financial advice, but you could literally make some serious money today on Van Dijk getting a hat trick from set pieces. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Look, there's and Alisson in goal means we're probably not going to get a goal today. We're not scoring. For a fact, we're not scoring against this team today. That is for real. And for me, it's about how much can we frustrate Liverpool and keep the score down.
Just to make it a little bit more upbeat, I'm going to come to you, Kate. Is there any weaknesses? Is there any weaknesses? Is there any way we can get a result in terms of like? Is there any player that you think, oh, you know, we can probably get in behind him? Like, you know, some people talk about Endo, or maybe, you know, when Trent, he's not the best defensively, or even tactically. Do you think we should maybe not do the high press? I don't know. What do you think? I'm just throwing it out there.
Do you know what? I think all the talk about the high line, Ange's never going to change. He says it every interview. He's not going to change, so it's not even worth considering it. But there isn't anyone that stands out that's a weakness for me. They're just a good all-round team, Liverpool. You've got so many dangers there. You've got McAllister, Diaz, Trent, Alexander-Arnold, Salah, of course, Gakpo. I don't look at any of them and think, oh, you know, we've got a chance if we get behind them or we do this. It's just going to be a case of if we're clinical and we get some chances and we take them, then, you know, that's the only chance we've got, in my opinion. I don't see us getting much joy here today. I really wish I could pump everyone up and go, yeah, you know, I think the weaknesses are here, and here. I just don't see it. I think they're a different gravy to us, even though they've dropped like a bit of a stone and towards the end of the season and dropped out the title race. I still think they're a whole another level above us, and Klopp is a whole another level above Ange Postecoglou. But as we know, it is football and anything can happen. Who knows? Maybe we're surprised and win 7-0.
I'm gonna, you know, Spurs do that as well. But you know what? I'm gonna read out this super chat that I've got here, and it's from Tom McCannon. I apologize for pronouncing that wrong. THFC need chair and win mentality above manager. What do you guys make of that comment?
I do think there's definitely an issue with the mentality in the club from the top to the bottom, because I think Levy is quite happy to accept top 4 every season and has done for a long time, which is, I think, why the mentality at the club is so bad, because we've never really, even Poch never really took the cups that seriously. It was all about top 4. Yeah. But we've got to be honest and say Levy ain't going anywhere. And the winning mentality is going to come from winning. And until we win something, we're not going to get it. It's as easy as that. It's a vicious circle.
Yeah. What do you guys make of that whole, you know, and just saying we need to challenge, you know, next season? You know, as I said before, you know, Newcastle could pip us to 5th if we don't get our act together. Do you think it's too soon for him to start talking about title challenges, Deji? Or do you agree with him that we need to push for a title challenge next season, considering that we need to get rid of all of these players and then to buy new players, and then they need to get used to a new system?
Yeah. Well, look, I think the fact that he can speak with a bit of chest, it pleases me. He's a very intelligent individual. You can see the way that he's able to kind of control the press conferences. He's a very smart man. And if he thinks there's a title challenge, it means that we've done the business, at least verbal agreements already in place, where he knows the players that are coming in that are going to be able to do the job to do that. So on one hand, I do think it's a good thing. But I think what he's also done is he's put pressure on himself by making that statement. But more importantly, I think what he's doing is he's putting pressure on Daniel Levy. A lot of people have said Daniel Levy's not going to do this, Daniel Levy's not going to do that. Well, Postecoglou doesn't seem like the sort of person who's going to stick around for mediocrity. He said quite clearly he doesn't give a damn about finishing in the top 4. He wants to win prizes. That means he needs to be backed. provided that Levy does the right thing and gives Postecoglou what he needs so he can bring in the players that he wants. Not necessarily hundreds or 200 million. It's just who he wants, give him the money to get him, then why not? You know what I mean? In terms of what he's been able to do with our club with 4 signings, and we've only been playing 3 of them. If we go and do the overhaul that is needed and they get him in early, because that's the big thing. It's not about buying these players at the end of the transfer window. You get them in at the beginning of July or even before then, so that you can start to work on them. And then maybe we might, you know, I don't think title challenge, but maybe we might go one step better than this season. But I think it's good to put that pressure on Levy now so that we as the fan base know where to lay the blame. Is it Postecoglou or is it Levy? And we will know for certain who it is definitely at the beginning of next season.
Guys, I want to talk about the youth because a lot of fans, and I read in the comments at the moment, I appreciate everyone helping to make this show as well. Big you guys up. But I want to talk about the youth because a lot of fans have been screaming for ages about the youth, that the youth need a chance, we need to give them a go. But if we're in a title push and we're trying to go for a title challenge, doesn't that kind of put the level of expectation up? And how do we start to bed in these younger players?
It's a penalty. Sorry, because even though let me just be clear, I'm with Kate, all right? I actually don't give a damn.
Say it with chest. Say it with chest.
I don't give a damn, but if there is a pen and Brighton can get a result, there is that little window in case our team pulls up a surprise, just in case. Because we know, Kate, you and I both know that we're going to slap up Man City at our gap. There's no sense to it. It's not because we're better than them, but trust Tottenham, trust our club to bloody beat City to give Arsenal the title. That's only something Spurs would do.
I don't know. Like we've really Man City have already come and undone that hoodoo. So I'm just looking at form at the moment. City smashed. I know it wasn't like a top team, but they smashed Wolves that we struggled against. I know they were missing out a lot of players. I had a lot of injuries, but hey, Haaland, everyone was talking about, oh, he's not this, he's not that. He just showed them his work. Haaland in that form, Kevin De Bruyne trying to show like he still got it. You know, Foden being a well beater. We're gonna need a miracle, I reckon, against City. I'll be real, to win that game. But like I do hear it, like Spurs, we do Spurs stuff, like, and we just turn up out of nowhere. But yeah, Kate, where do you sit with this whole youth debacle? Obviously, Donnelly, people were saying, oh, you need to get him, we need to start him, he's the future, blah, blah, blah. Mikey Moore's now on the bench. Do you want to see him come on the pitch and get his, you know, his feet wet? And also, Deji's talking about all these new players coming in. If the new players come in, especially like in the midfield area, we're getting rid of Højbjerg or Lo Celso, or people are saying possibly Skip and etc. I know we're going to be in more competitions, but does it kind of make it harder for the younger players to get into this side?
Yeah, I mean, I think in midweek, Mikey Moore was on the bench, and for me, I would have put him on. I know we was losing, but whether you're winning, you're losing, you're never going to know what you've got until you start him against these top teams. So, you know, a lot of people say, well, the step up from the youth to the first team is too big and it can dent their confidence, but it can work the other way as well. So, again, today he's on the bench, regardless of the score, whether we're 3-0 up, 3-0 down, 10-0 down. I'd like to see him get 15 minutes on the pitch. You know, people that I'm not one who regularly watches the academy players, but I do take some interest in it. And I hear that I know Mikey Moore looks brilliant. Santiago, Donnelly. Like I say, until you give these players a chance against these sort of teams, you're never going to know. And now, really, the season is pretty much over. I would love to see him take a chance and give him a go. But there is a lot of words, sort of a lot of people saying out there on social media that Ange doesn't think they're ready. I don't know. I don't know the answer. But if they're bringing in players like Bergvall, who's only sort of 18, what must the academy players be thinking? They must be thinking, I've got no chance if they're buying in youngsters. You know, it must be soul destroying for them. But if we'd never played Kane, if he'd never got that break, who knows where he'd be now? Do you know what? We could be sitting on diamonds, and I just would like to see him given a chance, see what they can do.
Deji, where do you set them? Because we've got Ashley Phillips on loan, and we've got Divine also at the same club on loan as well. And I was watching lately a few coaches talk about academy players and how a good 95% of them don't make it. You know, we've only had Harry Winks, Skip, Tanganga, you know, to make it, other than Kane. Kane seems like the anomaly. And a lot of the players, when they go down to like non-league football or League One Championship football, they actually start to find their level, because academy football, you get so much time, so much space. The physicality is not the same as well. The intensity is not the same. You're playing against boys that are your age. But then when you're coming into a men's game, do you have the bottle? Because me, if I'm a manager or I'm a coach and I see a young player coming on, I'm like, lads, I want 2 of you on him, and I want you to put the hardest tackle on you can. I want you to rattle his cage. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a thing where you have a sink or swim. A lot of fans are like, yeah, get these guys on, get these guys on. We need to play them, we need to play them. But is there also an argument, like Kate was saying, that, you know, they might just not be ready for that level yet?
I'll be honest with you. I think football in this country is changed. I'm kind of going through it personally myself, albeit the really, really younger years. The academy players are a lot more prepared, and they're a lot more better than people give them credit for. Look at the one that came in for Newcastle this season. Look at the ones that have come in. Look at Gordon as well. Look at the ones at Chelsea that have come in, that came in the other day. The boys are there. My biggest concern is that we just don't have a progression. There's no pathway. What's the point of having an academy system if there is no pathway? Do you know why we had Harry Kane?
Why?
Because Tim Sherwood was in charge. Tim Sherwood saw something in Harry Kane and gave him a shot. Had it been any other manager, Mourinho, Conte, there would have been no Harry Kane today, because we were sending him out on loan year after year after year, a bit like what we're doing to Dane Scarlett. For me, they deserve a chance. And also, one of the things we talk about is hunger. One thing the academy boys are going to want to do is they're going to want to show up, because that's their contract. So I want hunger there. Do you get me? Tim Sherwood saw lots of talent in our academy and was like, bring him through, bring him through. And then we lost that when they got rid of him. And big up to him, because if not for him, there would be no Harry Kane today. And I think Harry Kane knows all of his success. We're in London, North London. Arsenal are bringing in players left, right, and centre. Our under 18s just beat Arsenal 3-2 the other day. You can't tell me they're not good players. They are. We just need to have a little bit more faith with the boys and give them an opportunity to cook.
Do you slow down on the transfer policy then? Do you slow down on the Lises and the Ezes to allow one of our academy boys, one of our own, to get in that position? Because as Kate was talking about, you've got Santiago's, Mikey Moore can play out wide. You've got the Vines that can play out wide or in the midfield. We've got wingers. Do you know what I mean? Why are they not being used? Are they gonna, if we buy an Eze or a Lise, so like that's what you want, that's your words, and you know we're ambitious and we do get them, then how does the academy player get in past them?
No, you're right, but we got to make a choice. You know, are we a big six? And if we are a big six, sometimes you need to make a statement signing. And I think we need a statement signing because of the way our season's pitted out towards the end. But that doesn't mean we can't bring players through. Those players, at least Arsene Wenger, one of the things he used to do, he was playing them in the cup. I know other people will have arguments, but the Carabao Cup, FA Cup matches, let's let them play. Especially, that's one of the perks of being in Europe. We should be mixing it up and giving them opportunities in and around the team. What is the point of spending all that money? But also, we can save a lot of money as a club if we just bring in quality. Other clubs are doing it. Crystal Palace brought in Tarek Mitchell. I mean, come on, guys. There's no excuse for it. We've got good players in our academy. Those boys deserve a chance. And people talk about, the players not playing for the shirt. One thing I can tell you is those academy players they will come on and they will run their legs off They will put in a challenge. And just like life with jobs, the more games you play, the better. But if you don't give them any games, like where Dane Scarlett should be coming on. Since Richarlison ain't doing the job, what does it matter? If you're 3-0 down, does it matter? It doesn't matter anymore. Bring them on. Let's see what they can do. Do you get what I'm saying? Madueke, just a final point.
Yeah.
How do you let someone like him leave your academy and then Chelsea spend 50 mil? 50 mil, but that was in your academy. What are our scouts doing? What are they looking at? Edwards, that was out in Sporting Lisbon, sourcing and ripping us to shreds. How do you let these guys go? And the biggest disgrace, Carl Walker-Peters. Carl Walker-Peters, we've not replaced him. He could do a job. Do you know what I mean? So what are they doing? We got to give these boys a chance.
Guys, I want to talk more points, but I can't because we've run out of time, unfortunately. Big up to the chat, but still talking as well in there. I see like talks about the Celso, Dragushin, Ange tactically, etc. Man, I see it all, man. And big yourselves up, man, for the chat. Love for the love as well. Please do make sure you like and subscribe to this lovely channel. Thanks again, Ben and Sim, for giving us a platform to talk on. We are Tottenham TV. Before I do tie up, we've got Ben and we've got Barnaby in the studio doing the watch along. So guys, still stay on and watch the watch along with those guys. But guys, quickly, I need score predictions from you in the chat, especially. I need score predictions right now, real quick. Give me a score prediction. Liverpool away. What is the score prediction? I'm going to come to you, Kate, first. What do you think the score will be?
I'm going for and I apologise in advance, 3-0 Liverpool win.
3-0,
no reply. Cool.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kate. I don't see us scoring, not with that back line for Liverpool today. We can't find our feet. We can't finish off our dinner. It will be 3-0 Liverpool at least. I'm
expecting a reaction from the boys because we've been losing.
Expecting a reaction.
Three on a bounce. 3 on a bounce is criminal. 4 on a bounce, I think there needs to be some serious questions had. 4 on a bounce, especially if we don't perform well. So I expect us to be a lot. The work rate I expect to be ultra high. Do you know what I mean? And if we still get found out, there's going to be more and more questions for Ange. But I think we'll lose. But I don't think it'll be a 3-0, 3-love. I think it'll be a 2-1. I'm being optimistic. I think it'll be a little bit closer because we normally give Liverpool a good game. But
Ash, you let me down there. You built it up as though you were going to put us to win, and then you
said
go for a loss.
You think this is? This is not the pump up. This is the deflate. This is the deflate. A little bit of realism. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So look, it is what it is at the moment, and some Spurs fans think we will win. But you know what? Everyone's entitled to their opinion. You know, and you can be as optimistic as you want. You know, possibly a draw. That would be a great result for us, considering the 3 games that we've lost, and hopefully that could help into our next game against Burnley at home. But guys, once again, thanks for coming on. I want to ask Kate, where can we find you and what do you have coming up?
Come on over to Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs. We smashed 1,300 subs yesterday, which was pretty amazing. Thank you. Loads coming up. We've got some ex-pros coming on. We've got Mickey Hazard coming back to do an end-of-season review. Just every lunchtime, you'll always find us there. So please come over and give us a like and subscribe.
Big up, Kate, man. Big up. Yo, Deji, my brother, my other half, another part of the team, Spurs Kings TV. Yep. He's come along. What have you got coming up on Spurs Kings TV, but also on your own channel coming up? What have you got going on?
So I'm going to do my very, very first watch along today for the Liverpool game. Don't ask me how. I am going to do it. It's going to be weird because I'm not techie at all. And then catch me later on today, Spurs King TV show, my debut, where I will be doing player ratings with Ash and Cole. So that should be fun. Hopefully the player ratings is positive. and we're giving sixes and we're giving sevens and eights, not threes and fours. That's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, good, yeah. So thank you.
Yes. So guys, you can catch me obviously on Spurs Kings TV. Please do make sure you like and subscribe. But more importantly, please make sure you give this channel a like and you make sure you subscribe to these lovely boys. But yeah, as I was going to say, in Big Ange we trust, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.